Hi, welcome to Comfortable Shoes Studio. I'm Les, and this is a first look at the Cali Art watercolor set. Now, I picked this up on Amazon through the Vine program. I participate in the Vine program, and the only requirement through the Vine program is that I review the product on Amazon. So, I do have to pay taxes on this watercolor set, but what I really wanted to experience was one of these sort of watercolor sets that is in a large first off, a large number of watercolors in a tin, and so the watercolors are in a blow molded container. So let's talk about this set. So first off, the name of the set is Cali Art 128 colors washable watercolor paint set with 4 brushes, portable travel watercolor kit with carry case, palette, and accessories, non-toxic art supplies, gift for artists, adults, teen, kids, girls, boys. Um, that is a mouthful. And all right, let me tell you a little bit about what this set is. So it is 128 colors. It is a mix of traditional colors and metallic colors, as well as pastel colors and neon colors. It arrives in a package with a pretty nice watercolor paper swatch page, 4 brushes, 3 of which are actually pretty nice. One I would use as a glue brush, 3 water brushes of meh quality, a HB pencil, which is pretty much trash, a white plastic dust gathering eraser, a short point pencil sharpener, and a little sponge for cleaning off your brushes. So the tin is quite large. I mean, this is a big set. I would not use this as a travel set just because of how gargantuan it is. Um, so the uh, set itself is really quite heavy. The tin is relatively sturdy, and it will hold a ton of stuff. Um, Now, I did try to pry a watercolor out of the blow molded tin to see if I could pop it into a regular watercolor style tray. And they are glued in there pretty well. So it would take a lot of work. And I really didn't at this point in time want to ruin the blow molded set. So a blow molded item is what fits into the tin and holds it in place. So it's molded over a form using air and pressure and all of that fun stuff. And so it's good for keeping things in place. However, it is not my favorite way of having watercolors because I really like to take watercolors out of their tin and mix and match um, the colors when I go out and about. So these watercolors re-wet pretty well. What I would suggest is when you first get them, grab a spray bottle and spray down the whole thing with a light mist of color just to rehydrate the outer layer of the color. These are not a professional quality set. I would call these student grade, um, in that they're really not there's nothing professional about these watercolors. They're great for an art journal, they're great for learning. However, the colors don't match up with professional color names. So, like the ultramarine blue is really not like any ultramarine blue I've ever had. A lot of the colors are a little chalky. You can tell they've been mixed with filler. They're colors that granulate because they're not ground as finely as they should be. And all of that is fine for a journaling watercolor set. Um, there are a lot of convenience colors in this set, which is, again, fine for an art journal. I prefer mixing a lot of my colors. Like I like having a couple of greens and then mixing those colors or the additional colors of green that I would like. Whereas this set has many different shades of green, many different shades of blue. So you're not necessarily going to need all of those colors. So one of the things, and I'm gonna show this mixing in a little bit. The blues and the browns, like I often use ultramarine and other shades of blue mixed with brown to get a nice gray color. You can get a similar feel from a lot of different shades of blue and a lot of different uh, browns to get those gray shades, which are really useful in doing portraiture, but also when you are doing urban sketching. I just find that they make a more realistic shadow than using like a black or other colors. So I think my biggest complaint about this set is that the colors don't mix true. And I'm comparing it here in the video to my Liang set, which I think would give you much better color mixing than this set and has a more professional feel. So here I'm mixing a bunch of the different blues along with different shades of brown to try and see like where can I get those shades of gray that I really like. And I can. It just takes a minute to figure out which blue and which gray or which brown to use. Um, so I think I'm using burnt sienna here or burnt umber and a couple of different shades of ultramarine. I'm just testing out a lot of different things. And this is something that I do in my sketchbook all the time. I test out different colors um, to see how they work. Anytime I get a new watercolor in, I test it with the colors that I use all the time. And this is the function of a sketchbook. This is the function of an art journal for me. Like for me, it's a key part of my process to mix and check how colors are responding to one another. And you can do it in more artistic ways than this. I just like blobs. I like semi-rectangular blobs. So here I'm testing on another page. In this one, I'm interested in how the different shades of gray and black work with one another because I think it would be a fun thing to do with watercolors to get that kind of ink wash look, but with watercolor paints. So, there are four different shades of gray and black here. So just testing those out to see how they work. Um, Overall, pretty happy with how these watercolors do respond on this really inexpensive paper, which has a tendency, even with higher quality watercolors, to make those colors chalk out and not move as well. So these watercolors do a pretty good job at responding on this super cheap, super thin paper. So I'm doing another one of my tests here. I'm doing a portrait, and I'm doing this portrait from imagination. It's something I've been trying to work on. Is my drawing from imagination. So I'm just taking a little bit of what I know from drawing a lot of portraits, and I'm drawing a person, and I'm using watercolor shades that I don't often use. So like when I'm working with marker, I use pink a lot, and I don't usually do that when I'm painting in watercolor. I don't actually carry a shade of pink that is a true shade of pink like these in my usual watercolor setup. It's not a color I use often. What I usually have is like a quin magenta, and that's what I'll use, but very watered down if I need pink. But this set has what, four different shades of pink that some lean towards purple, some lean more towards the red. Um, and I kind of like them. I like how they respond. So something I'm probably going to use a lot more in some of these portrait drawings that I've been doing is adding in some of those shades of pink and just seeing how they respond on the page in portraiture. So anyway, working really wet on this one, adding in her hair. Um, I am going to work over the top of this with, I believe, gel pen. And as typical, I am using a Uniball 207 with a bold tip, or will be. In right now I'm using the water brushes that arrived with this set, and the water brushes are kind of mid. They do have a tendency to suck the color back up into the body of the pen, so the sponge becomes soaked with color, which can be a major problem if you're trying to keep those colors clean. Obviously I'm not too worried about it right here. Um, I've really loaded this brush up with this brown color, and yeah, it's just super saturated. There's a ton of it up in the barrel of the water brush, so that will be a problem if you're using this. And this is a problem with a lot of these like super cheap water brushes. The the uh, function of squeezing water out will, when it returns, then suck the pigment up inside the pen, which I find can really muddy my colors as I'm working. In this case, I'm just sketching and doodling, so not a big deal. But if I were doing some urban sketching and I was trying to, paint in my sky, and I had a lot of yellow on my brush, and then it would turn everything green. So, there are instances where that's not ideal. Now, a use for these particular water brushes would be to just go ahead and fill them with ink in a couple of different tones. So like doing a yellow, a magenta, and a sky blue. You could get it really close to CMYK with these brushes. And in those instances, having the color sucked back up into the brush, not a bad thing. Um, and wouldn't really bother the function of the brush. So um, there's always a use for cheap water brushes. I am a huge fan of adding ink to them and using them just as an ink brush instead of as a water brush. So yeah, I'm just going in, adding in some more darks to the face. I really did like how this one came out in the end. Um, just like using that understanding of faces and shadow, deciding where the shadow and is going to be, where the light source is. I kind of decided that the light source was going to be sort of up and to the left, sort of where that orange cap is next to the watercolor set. That's where my light source is here. So, hard shadows on the what is the right hand side of the face, but if I would be the left hand side of the person. Yeah, so I'm just kind of working here um through the face, layering in things really lightly, using very washy, thin layers of the watercolor paint, kind of let the tones of the face that I've already put down show through those additional layers. So this is being shown to you in real time. So I think it's about not even 15 minutes. I think I took 12 minutes or so on this. Um, and as usual, I do like adding sort of a contrasting color into the background. Um, And so I'm doing my usual, like, lay down a block of color and then butt it up against an area that's still wet. So her hair is still quite wet. So I'm getting the intense orange down and then allowing the wet watercolor to merge. This always seems to get the reply guys going. They hate when I do that. I really enjoy allowing the watercolors to move on the page. Why, why not? Why not let the watercolor do its thing and kind of enjoy how it moves? That I'm into that. You don't have to be, but I have to get like a lot of comments about it, telling me I'm not using watercolors the way they should be. Um, I don't know, I guess I just sometimes like to work with the material in a way that is, um, technically incorrect, but also functionally fun for me. So, I hit it with the dryer here. I am gonna stop and speed that. Alright, so now that I've sped that up, I'm drying it out with a heat gun so that I can work back on top of it with my gel pen. And I was wrong when I said earlier I was going to use a Uniball 207. I'm actually going into this with a Uniball Zento, which is, I still maintain, the worst name for a pen. It's just kind of silly. The pens, though, are fantastic for sketching. I really like the pen body with the wire clip. It's become a go-to pen for me, since I bought, what was it, a 5-pack or a 6-pack of it. It is, to me, really reminiscent of the Uniball Signo RT1, except for the fact that instead of the plastic clicker, it's got the little metal clip. Um, what I do dislike about the Zento is the light colored pen body. Um, it I just get it absolutely filthy after a few days of use. This one in particular, I don't think you can see it on camera, but it's got ink on it, it's got paint on it, and it just looks dirty. So anyway, I'm going in and I am solidifying the details of this person's face, adding in some hair, some cross hatching in darker shadows, just, thinking about where is this person's ear, where are their eyes, are there any wrinkles, um, you know, solidifying the hair a little bit. I will say that these watercolors were really quite nice to draw on top of on this paper. Um, Sometimes really inexpensive watercolors have a really chalky texture that feels more like gouache, and I find really horrible to write on top of. Not these. The Caliarts watercolors um, are actually quite nice to journal on top of or write on top of, or in this case, like sketch on top of. So you could really do some really nice backgrounds with these, and I think be pretty happy with them for drawing on top of later. Um, and I would maintain that the majority of these blow molded watercolor sets like this, I don't know about y'all, but my um Amazon, now that I have these, is just blown up with tons of different versions of this. There's the Tau Tree, the Grabby, the Arteco, Artistic Tro, no name brands, Aroic, Shuttle Art, Watercolor Paint Set 50 colors, blah 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 blah. There are just so many different brands of these. I would suggest that if you're going to buy a set like this, any of the blow molded sets, that you look for the set at the best price at that time. This set right now is $29.99 with a 30% coupon. So it would end up being about $21. I've also seen it at $40 with a full 50% off coupon, so it would be 20 bucks. Again, just look for the best price on these brands, and you'll get something super similar to every other brand, and they'll function, I believe, almost entirely the same as this set. Um, in my case, I will be using the lower regular colors pretty frequently as I'm journaling. Probably going to use these a lot on this channel, just because I have them. Um, and they're decent. They're okay. I'm not going to pretend here that these are great artist quality. They're great journaling quality. I would not use these for any work that I'm going to sell the original of. I would use these for work that I might scan and then create prints from or posters from or use in artwork that I'm going to um, then reproduce digitally. I won't be using the metallic colors. Um, they're just not something I'm drawn to. I've had metallic watercolor sets for years and years and years and years, and I literally never use them. So what will probably happen with my metallic sets, I'll take them into work and let the kids use them. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful if you are looking to find a good, decent quality watercolor setup for art journaling. These pan sets are all pretty equal and you'll be happy with it. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Thanks and bye.